flood is coming. God has decided.
God made a decision that would change the fate of humanity forever, and not everyone was saved. There are two types of beings that never set foot on Noah's Ark, and the reason is darker than you can imagine. Most people think they know the story of the flood, but what really happened has been hidden for centuries. Noah did not build the ark to save everyone, but to exclude those who had corrupted the whole world. Who were those beings that God decided to erase from the face of the earth with no possibility of redemption? The answer lies in one of the deepest and most disturbing mysteries of all biblical writing. To understand it, we must go back to a time when heaven and earth were forbiddenly intertwined. In Noah's days, the world was not simply evil. It was the result of a supernatural transgression. The fallen angels, referred to in the Bible as the sons of God, voluntarily abandoned their place in heaven. These fallen angels did not fall by mistake. They made a conscious decision to rebel against the Creator. Upon descending to the earthly realm, the fallen angels took on human form and sought the daughters of men. Genesis 6:2 confirms that the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful and took them as wives. This union between fallen angels and human women was a direct violation of the established divine order. From that unnatural union between the fallen angels and the daughters of men were born unique and terrible creatures. Those creatures are the Nephilim, hybrid beings that belonged neither to heaven nor to earth, but to chaos. The Nephilim were physically imposing, with a superhuman strength that no ordinary man could match. But it was not just their size that made them dangerous. It was the evil that resided within them from the very beginning. The Nephilim filled the earth with violence, corrupting every corner of the world that God had created with love. Genesis 6:4 calls them ancient heroes, famous men, but their fame meant terror. Under the dominion of the Nephilim, humanity lost its ability to distinguish between good and evil. The Nephilim were not only violent, they controlled humans, pushing them towards total corruption. The whole earth groaned under the weight of the evil that the Nephilim had unleashed since their very existence. God observed all of this, and the pain he felt was deep because his creation had been completely perverted. Then God looked at humanity and saw that all the wickedness was great and that every thought was only evil. Genesis 6:5 reveals the state of the human heart at that time, corrupted to its deepest core. However, amidst so much darkness, there was a man who shone with a different light among the others. Noah was righteous, blameless among his generation, a man who walked with God in times of absolute corruption. Unlike his contemporaries, Noah did not yield to the influence of the Nephilim or the fallen angels. Noah had a choice and bravely chose justice when everyone around him chose evil. It was because of that integrity that God chose Noah as the instrument of his plan to renew all of creation. God revealed to Noah a devastating truth. He was going to destroy all living beings with a universal flood. The flood would not be an ordinary flood. It would be the ultimate instrument of divine justice on earth. Noah listened to God with faith and without doubt began the most monumental task that a human being had ever received. Building the ark would take 120 years, a period of time that tests the most solid and firm faith. During those 12 decades, Noah worked tirelessly while the world around him continued to sink into evil. The Nephilim watched the construction of the ark with disdain, unaware that their fate was sealed forever. The fallen angels who had begotten them could not foresee that the flood would end their lineage. Because God had made a decision that allowed no appeal, the Nephilim would never enter the ark. This is the exclusion that the biblical history records clearly, and that few take the time to reflect on deeply. The Nephilim, children of fallen angels and human women, were condemned before the first flood, not because God was cruel, but because the Nephilim were the very source of the corruption that was destroying the world. Allowing the Nephilim to enter the ark would have meant bringing poison inside the ship of salvation. The fallen angels also had no place in the divine plan of restoration, as they had betrayed their nature. God did not save the fallen angels because their rebellion had been deliberate, conscious, and without the possibility of return. There was a line that the fallen angels voluntarily crossed when they left heaven to descend to earth. That line separated obedience from transgression, and once crossed, the consequences were irreversible. Thus, the flood became the simultaneous judgment against the Nephilim and against the fallen angels who created them. When the time came, the animals began to enter the ark two by